Hi everyone. For today's webinar, we will be learning about the guide to creating strong passwords. Here is a general overview of what is going to be covered in today's presentation. Up first, these are two rules to live by. Rule number 1, password length. You want to make sure you have at least 8 characters. However, 10 characters or longer is better. The more characters there are in the password, the better it is, as the time taken for someone to obtain your password will be longer. Following the first rule, password complexity is just as important. You want to make sure you contain one character from each of the 4 groups, having a lowercase alphabet, uppercase alphabets, numbers, and special characters. The second rule is the 8 to 4 rule. When combined, it's known as the 8 to 4 rule. That means having 8 characters minimum, having one lowercase, one uppercase, one number, and one special character. Up next are guidelines to creating a strong and secure password. You want to make sure you have unique characters. You should have at least 5 different characters. If following the 8 to 4 rule, you will have 4. As you can see in the bottom, this person's password, for instance, let's say it's bubblegum, they took it and applied the 2 rules that I just mentioned. So they added an uppercase letter, they added numbers, and they added a special character at the end to make the password stronger. On the right of the screen, you can also see a little character map, which you can find through your desktop by searching character map. A character map essentially has many and numerous different types of characters and symbols and different little emojis that you can copy and paste when creating your password. Up next is Password Manager. You want to have strong passwords. Strong passwords are hard to remember. Using a password manager tool should become a habit. Anytime you create a password, you should note it down somewhere. Use an app or write it down in a safe and secure place. If you guys want more information on Password Manager, we did have a session on this, so which you guys can find on our YouTube channel. Up next is passphrase. You want to use essential initials of phrases or songs to help you create a password, as it's easier to remember. For example, my phrase is, passwords are like socks, change yours often. As you can see, I used the first letter of each word to create my password. I made some characters uppercase, some lowercase. I added a number, and I added a special character, which is the comma. Up next is the creating of the password. You want to start with a sentence or two, about 10 words in total. Think of something meaningful to you. For instance, long and complex passwords are safest. I keep mine secret. As I mentioned before, use the first letter of every word and turn it into an acronym, as seen below. Add complexity by making some letters uppercase. Add length with numbers. Put 2 numbers that are meaningful to you within the letters. Add length with punctuation or symbols. You can add them at the beginning and at the end. Up next are additional tips and tricks when creating your password. First, use the entire keyboard, not just characters you use or see often. Whenever possible, try and use 14 characters or more, as it'll be more secure. The greater the variety, the better. Another tip is to test your password using a password checker. A good one is www.passwordmeter.com. And you can put in your password here and it'll tell you if it's weak, mediocre, strong, or very strong. So it's a good way to check if your password is a good length and if it's complex enough. It is okay to write passwords down. I know as a student, I'm always having to create different accounts for different softwares and school websites, so it can be hard to remember all of them. You just want to make sure you keep them in a safe and secure place, and they are stored away from your computer. Up next are common mistakes that people make when creating passwords. Do not use your name, username, names of family members or pets. Any personal details such as your birthday, address, and hometown, and number sequences in the password such as password 1234. That's because some of this information can be found on the internet. You might have put it on your social media, so a lot of people can have access to it. Another mistake is you don't want to use common and obvious words and expressions such as password or secret, common character substitution such as password and using the @ or password and replacing the S's with $signs, and the same passwords or passphrase for personal and work. You want to have a different one for each of your accounts just to be extra safe. And lastly, it's the two-form factor authentication. This is an extra layer of security to make sure people trying to get into your account are who they say they are. First, a user must enter their username and password. Afterwards, they will be required to enter another piece of information, whether that's security questions that you put in or having a code sent to your phone or email. I know with Google, when I sign into my account from a place that maybe I haven't before, Google will send me an email saying that this and this tried to sign into your account at this time. Was this you? And this is a really good way for me to know that if it wasn't me, I can immediately change my password or report it. So it's always good to have that extra layer of security.